Hey, hello, welcome back. We're Checkered Shorts, episode number 65. And we're thrilled to be joining you. The season's been off to a great start, and you can almost smell May in the air. And that just
65
means,
is a lot.
yeah,
65 is a lot. Like, that's pretty crazy if you think about it.
respect.
So, yeah, right. Get on
The
our
band hasn't
level.
even been broken up yet, man. We're going strong.
Oh, I do have the stickers. I do have stickers. Hold on.
Oh, nice,
sweet.
nice. We'll be handing these out everywhere we go.
Get mine on Saturday.
Oh, looky there.
Oh, look at that.
But,
Nice.
Yeah.
This doesn't have the QR code, so I got to get more.
All right. You gotta bring some of those to me on Saturday.
Yep, I will.
Yeah, very cool.
There you go. Sticker, join our mailing list, and you can get a free sticker.
Oh, shoot. All right. So usually we kick it off with history. So let's hit the history again of the number 65.
Yep. 1965 Indianapolis 500, won by a Scotsman. I don't know if there have been Dario Franchitti's a Scotsman, but this was 1965, so this was Jim Clark. And great race driver. Like I said, he's a Scotsman. He also is the only person to have won the Indianapolis 500 and the F1 championship in the same year, which has kind of been a difficult task because Monaco has traditionally been run on the same day as the 500. But in this particular year, even though he was a full-time Formula One driver, he skipped their biggest race, Monaco, to run at Indy. So that's a huge piece. And that was the first rear engine winner. As we talked about last time, Foyt won in 64 in the last front engine car. But 65 brought the British invasion, as they called it. And so Jim Clark won in a rear engine car. So 1965.
Very good. Short and sweet. That's good. Nice.
So we did get the ratings news for the race at Barber. We didn't have super high expectations. They're up against some pretty stiff TV viewing competition. But what did the ratings, how they pan out?
Just over 900, 906, something like that, right? Last year was 914. So, I mean, I think you call that pretty much even. I think probably for last year, that was a bigger number compared to other than St. Pete. So that was a big number for last year. Now it's a dip down. But I think with the tournament and Pelot kind of running away with it, I still take it as a big win overall. Not the greatest race, and we talked about that, but it still just shows people are watching it, almost 1 million people. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, this was the lowest rating of the season so far, at almost 1 million. 1 million's kind of been our benchmark or standard. Yeah. If you look back to, I think I heard last year, 50% of the races got about 700,000. So if the worst race we've had up until this point is still around that $1 million people mark, that's pretty solid.
Yep. I think the challenge now is you have a 2-week break. You have, what is it, 2 races? Or is it 3 races in 6 weeks or 2 races in 6 weeks?
It's 2, 3 weeks. Like they're 3 weeks apart, the next 2 races.
Yeah. So that's now's crunch time and seeing how these pan out. Indy GP probably is not going to pull a whole bunch. Maybe it will just because it's Indy, but it's kind of like a Barber. So it might not draw as much. And then Long Beach usually will pull some pretty good ratings. That's better rating. So, but yeah, this is a test here these next month and a half or so.
For sure.
Yeah. So where are we at on our power rankings? After having another race, the 3 of us had to separately vote for our top 10. And then we put them into the machine, and it gives us the Checkered Shorts Power Rankings.
Interesting. He said we are kind of all over the board. So what'd the computer say, Dinwiddie?
Yeah. So kind of walk it down here. I'll start with our, 10 to 7. So in 10th place, back into our power rankings, is Scott Dixon at 10. And we did all three have the same top 10. It's just we didn't have them in the same order. At 9, we had Marcus Erickson, another solid finish at Barber. At number 8, this was one of our big differences, was Scotty Mack. I'm a Scotty Mack fan, so I still have him pretty high on my list, just because he's had some practice crashes the last couple of weeks that have put him in a backup car. I still think the talent is there. I think he's driving well. I just think the car hasn't, he just hasn't had his best equipment under him in those races. So that's Scotty Mack at number 8. And then Pato Award all the way down. He was our biggest dropper this week. He's at number 7. So what are your thoughts there, 7 through 10?
I like the argument with Scotty Mack, and probably rightfully so. He might be a little bit lower on Pato, just underwhelming that last race. He's better than that, obviously. Everybody knows that. Before then, he's had all top 5s. Is that right? So
yes.
You're 17th, I think. So you gotta pay for the results, I guess, and that's how I saw it.
I guess what I want to say is, why doesn't Pato get the same grace that is given to Scotty Mack? It's about who you like, right? But they both are in the same boat, which is not performing up to their standard of their talent.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we could say power ranking wise, oh yeah, they're the top 4 talented drivers out there. But if you're not performing, and a part of that performance is not running your damn car through the wall.
Yeah.
On the parade lap of the Indianapolis 500, you might need to get it together.
Now you sound like you're attacking me for my rankings, but I will let you know that I actually had Pato Award ranked higher than the two of you did too.
Well, I didn't give Pato the grace. He slid too because he's not performing.
Yes.
With the equipment he has, the talent he has, 5th is kind of like a meh, but you shouldn't be dropping.
Right.
Qualifying 12th, and then doing nothing but drop all day race long. Where did he finish? 15?
17th, I think.
17th. Yeah, 17th. I have Pato at 7 and McLaughlin at 8 is how I ranked them today. But Dinwiddie's point, could you keep going? So no, that's a fair point, but it's just those two guys did not have results.
Okay. I'll go with the next few. And at number 6 for us is Joseph Newgarden. That was a drop too. He was 3rd last week. Moving up this week, his teammate and the highest running Penske at this point, David Malukas, at number 5. And at number 4, this was our biggest positive mover of the week, Christian Lundgaard.
Yep.
So thoughts there?
Newgarden's in the exact same boat as the other two we discussed. You're one of the most talented drivers in the series, but you're not performing each weekend. Whether that's in practice, in qualifying, or the actual race. But every one of those steps impact the other. So you got to be a good driver all the time.
Yeah, and that's where I struggled with Christian. Obviously, he had a really good race, but it's those ovals that Dinwiddie always mentions, nowhere to be found when it comes to those. That's where I have him at 4th. So yeah, I mean, he's got to show up, and he won't. He's not even come close to something. I don't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't put somebody in my top 5 that has a weakness on a certain type of track, especially when we're basically a third. And so I had Christian Lundgaard at number 8 still, because I'm not sold outside of road courses that he is that great of a driver.
Yeah, no, I could totally agree. Like the 500, I mean, would never pick the guy. You know what I mean? He has great equipment. Great argument. I think, it probably resonates that he did do really well. That's probably why he's a little bit higher on my list. Newgarden, I think, is right where he should be. Didn't have the greatest week, but still maintained what he had Probably should have done a little bit better. And Malukas, I think, is still just kind of finding his way with the team and navigating things just fine, I think, where he's at personally.
Yeah, I think we're still waiting for Malukas to break through, but to be the highest running Penske at this point in the season, that's, or at least on our list, that's really solid. He's picked up right where Will left off in that number 12 car.
Yep.
All right, our top three then. A guy that we have all kind of shared how much we like him. At number 3 is Marcus Armstrong.
Yep.
We'll come back to that. And then number 2, Kyle Kirkwood. And then we, as a group, have continued to keep Alex Palou. Obviously, he had a dominant weekend at Barber at our number 1. So thoughts on the top 3 there, maybe specifically Marcus Armstrong?
Yeah, I mean, he is consistent. He is good at everything. He's not finishing top 3s, but he's still finishing better than Pato, better than Newgarden consistently. And that's why I had him at 3. He is just Mr. Consistent, and is finishing races in his top 5, top 6 for most of these races. And nobody else is doing that besides maybe Palou.
And Brian, you said you couldn't put a guy in your top 5 that has holes on certain tracks. Well, Marcus Armstrong needs to be in the top 5 or in the top 3 in this case because he doesn't have holes on any of the tracks.
None of them.
You know, he's good on road course. He's good on the street course. He's good. I mean, he's your comfort food. You know, if you're going to go out on a limb and maybe place a bet on a long shot, you're going to throw a little bit to the side on Marcus Armstrong because you know you're going to get your money back, get some money back in your pocket.
Dinwiddie had him at 6th. No way.
I did. I'm not sold on him on ovals either. I know he had a podium last year. I think that was a little more strategy and luck than it was driving ability. So I really like him. I think he's great for the sport. He's a great personality. He's a very talented young man. He's still new. You know, this is only this is only his 2nd full season. So I do like him though. But I just don't have him in my top 5 yet.
When was it? Was it Milwaukee or Nashville when he had like 30 laps on his tires on the oval and stayed out and then got passed within like two seconds? Like, maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't remember if that was. I want to say that was Milwaukee, but I can't remember for sure.
It was that university car. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe put him a little bit lower. Kirkwood, obviously, I think second easily, and then there's no question about Palou in my book. You didn't mention Power, did you?
Nope.
Yeah,
no.
That sucks. I mean,
Rossi, Power, VK, Rosenquist are just outside the top 10.
I would say are 1 and 2. So you have Palou and Kirkwood, and if you take Pato, Newgarden, and McLaughlin, those are the guys I would say are the upper echelon drivers in the series. Like young, hot, on top of their game, probably have the most skill and talent. But the reason Palou and Kirkwood are up, and they have this, they all have good teams. You know, no one has a clear advantage. The advantage is the consistency that Palou runs with, and what Kirkwood is proving that he might be able to run with too. And you know, you can't just be the best driver on one day.
Right.
Or it's just going to be those guys that go out there and just run great, consistent in practice. And you can just know he's going to go out there and burn up a lap. And at times it's going to be like, open your eyes when you turn on the practice.
Right. No, the name of the game is consistency. And that's what Pato's been preaching. And whatever, a 13th is not going to derail his season. He's been doing really well, and everybody has an off day, but you got to make him fewer and further between. I think Power's just still struggling with that car. I think there's no other reason.
It's odd to me that he keeps having these brake issues, and at the very beginning, the first thing he was complaining about is getting used to the brakes. I mean, obviously, I don't know enough to know from one manufacturer to the other, one team to the other, why they would be set up so drastically different that he couldn't get used to them. And then this last one was a brake failure, but again, back to the braking system.
Yeah, Connor Daly is like, it's dramatically way more different than you think, especially for however many years he was at Penske. It's not, I mean, Connor's driven 12 different Indy cars.
I was going to say, it'd be difficult to be one of those journeymen.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that was my point. I was like, I mean, Graham was in the 500 or missed the 500 in a Honda and then drove the 500 in a Chevy, even though it didn't start. So I don't know, but I'm just making like, is it that hard? It probably is, Will, if you're listening. We understand, but yeah, there's something there. Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting tidbit on our rankings this week. I just noticed, I was looking at each of our rankings. Our overall rank is an exact match to Pat's rankings.
Yeah, there you go.
So our average equals Pat's vote.
That's right. So we should just let Pat make the picks from now on.
There you go. That's pretty funny. I was listening to Hinch and Rossi, or I don't even know if it was Hinch. I think it was maybe on one of the practices. Hinch said that VK got into IndyCar too early, meaning like he was too soon. He wasn't not good enough. He wasn't dissing on the guy. It was just like he needed a couple more years to mature, get a little bit better, and would be dominating right now. Is kind of what he is. And I thought that was a good point. I think all three of us were looking forward to seeing what VK's been at the pole here in lesser equipment, if you will. So that was a little bit of a shock. Nowhere does not deserve to be in the top 10 right now, but maybe if he had a strong top 5 finish, you can make an argument for it. But that was a little bit disappointing, but I was interested to hear what Hinch had to say about VK.
Yeah, that brings up a good point about, guys coming up through the ladder. It makes you wonder about a guy like Kyle Collette. Like, is he too young? But then I don't know if you read, I read an article this week about the NXT guys, because I don't know how closely you've been watching that or our listeners have been watching the NXT stuff, but guys like Lockie Hughes and Miles Rowe, who were right there last year challenging Hauger every week, are mid-pack to back of the pack against and this next crew that's coming up with Max Taylor and Kaharchik and Nikita Johnson. All the experts are saying those guys are going to zoom right past those kind of second and third year guys. So that may be why Collette chose to come this year without the scholarship, is because he knew these guys were coming in behind him.
Makes sense. Yeah, it totally makes sense. It's a dog-eat-dog world. They don't care. It's cutthroat. If you're better, you're going to get a chance to show yourself. So no, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. So
listeners out there, pay attention to those names I just mentioned, because they could be the future of the sport if they can get an opportunity.
Auger, I read somewhere online that he's never been passed in a race before. It's like, well, one, that's what happens when you have Alex Palou. 2, there was no cautions.
Yeah.
And 3, you're not used to running 90 laps. So all 3 of those against you. But him and Kyle, I still think are doing pretty darn good. Better than Stingray, better than Devlin did probably last year. So it's part of going through the ranks, right? That's where Kirkwood came from. Look at him now. So keep your eye on them. And then, like you said, Rowe, Lockie, Max Garcia is a new young one. So yeah, that NXT's the future of IndyCar for sure.
So to close out, we'll talk a little bit of Indy 500 news. There's a little bit of tidbits keep coming out here and there. So Brian, what have you heard up there in Speedway, Indiana?
Right around the corner from me is the Able Motorsports factory or shop, and it was announced today. Marshall Pruitt put it out there that Jacob Able, or at least Able Motorsports, has confirmed an entry for the 500. So I don't know if they were able to lock down a Chevrolet engine, but they do have a chassis. We do know that because they've used that in the past. But he is confirmed for the 500. So that, I think that gets us then to 31, 31, 32
32, I think.
confirmed entries. And then the other news that has come out recently is Colton Herta, who we kind of all just expected to take in the Andretti fourth car. Could have an issue now because F2 is talking about running an F2 race the weekend of the Canadian Grand Prix, which is Memorial Day weekend. And if he does that, that's his first priority. So that takes him out of an IndyCar seat, 500 seat. However, I think Andretti will probably still enter that fourth car. It's just a matter of who's going to be in it now.
Yeah. So obviously there's I think on Fox they put up a snippet of who could still be out there. There's Lindquist, Jacob Abel was one, Catherine Legg was one, even Miles Rowe was one option. So I don't know how likely. I think Catherine sounds pretty promising. Is that right? Was it you, Keith, or Brian mentioned that?
Yeah, Catherine Legg. Heard today that he could be a possibility in one of the Prema cars.
That's right.
If they want to run that. She definitely has budget with Elf, and then obviously they've got a chassis there and an engine lease with Chevrolet. She's looking, she's never run. I don't believe she's ever run Chevy. I think she's always been a Honda driver.
Right.
Stephen Wilson has some budget. I did hear Miles Rowe said that like nobody's approached him about it. He hasn't approached anybody about running the 500. And then, we always talk about the guys who have funding. You can't ever count out somebody like Devlin DeFrancesco,
right? Yeah,
who has run for Andretti in the past and has a connection there. So,
yeah, I mean, if he has the money and says I want to run, and I mean, I could see Andretti picking that up. How does it? I mean, is the reason Abel said yes now is to secure an engine? Like, how many engines? They don't have 37 engines or whatever that is divided by 2, however many engines they actually have. Like, is it first come, first serve on those? I don't know. I'm just, how does that work? I mean, if you have 5 extra people.
I heard mentioned this week that there's must be some sort of a list out there, like that you've put your claim in, and that if the opportunity is there, you can pay for that lease. So Abel must have contacted Chevy and
hopefully he's in that Miller
Honda whoever they're with and had that out there.
He really needs that. He needs that Miller Lite or the Miller High Life. I mean, instant fan. And by golly, like as much as I give Catherine, she could be an Andretti. Like I would see them a little bit.
I mean, last year I saluted him with the Miller Lite in Milwaukee, and he was going at a speed that I noticed he looked up at me and winked. So that tells me about how fast that Miller Lite car was.
He was cheersing us. The Miller Lite car is sick. I could see to your point with her driving a Honda. If Colton doesn't, I could see Andretti just a little bit gimmicky and a little bit more fandom towards their garage with the chick.
Well, we know she's talented too. Like you put her in a car, she's never had a car that good either. So who knows what she could do in that?
And it's a good name brand for women with the makeup and all that other stuff. So
in all the races I've seen her run, she hasn't ruined a car.
Good point.
So
we'll see. I think Lundquist and maybe Spencer Piggott, but those are just drivers who know how to drive. I don't think there's any rumors to any of those. Like there is Abel and Legg. So we shall see. One more to go. Hopefully we get 2 out of it. They get at least 34 for us fans. So.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us for episode 65, and we'll catch you after a weekend of no racing for episode 66, but we'll be excited to talk about some Indy 500 and other action.
See y'all.
Sounds good. Take care.